inverted Harrier testing and some other stuff with it too. Actually did the Cobra test. Oh my God! Did you see it slide through the air? We're doing that again. What's going on, YouTube? John and Tony out here with the e-flite 80mm F-16. I haven't had this thing in close to a year now. Beautiful, absolutely phenomenal model. We're gonna go ahead and do an initial review on it, but before we do that, I wanna mention that we are flying this beautiful model on behalf of Hangar 18 Hobbies here in beautiful Cary, North Carolina. They're my hometown hobby shop. If you're in the area, you're local, please swing by, tell Brian I said hi, and maybe pick something up while you're there. They still have a lot of different airplane models to pick from. And if you are interested in live chatting, hang out on Discord. The link is in the description. It's the RC Aviation Discord server. I love the people there. I've been hanging out with them for the past month, and I hope you guys can come join too. I'm always active in there, and I would love it if you guys came to join and hang out. Look at the scale gear on this thing. It's got full suspension, so this gear actually moves up and down as you see me pushing. These move up and down as well. The wheels have ball bearings in them, so they'll roll really good, even on this crappy pavement that we're flying from. They're painted white. Unlike the free-wing version, the gear on this look exactly like the full scale down to the white paint. It's amazing. It is also, we're flying with the, what is it, the Tiger Meat livery from the Shaw Air Force Base down in South Carolina. And on top of that, I already replaced the Stabilator servos for full maximum deflection, so that's what we got going up. And that's what we got going, or sorry, down and then up. Look at that, that's crazy. And this is using the AGFRC B13 DLM servos. 3.8 kilograms of torque per unit on a 6-volt BEC, which is what the Avian kicks out by default. I got this thing set up on a Taileron configuration too. I've got it emulating as much of the scale jet as I can get it to emulate. We're gonna be flying this on an SMC 4500 40C pack. We're gonna try to balance the weight as best we can, so we can get that center of gravity to about right here. We're gonna fly it a little nose heavier today rather than we, as aggressive as I used to fly it. So we're gonna put the battery up a little further. To do that though, is gonna necessitate moving some stuff around. There we go. Right here is probably a good spot. And then we'll flip it upside down, check the center of gravity, and then we will check all the flight control surfaces. And I also have the 5280 RC afterburner unit in here as well from Larry. Big fan of his work. I've been working with him for the past 6 months now. It's been pretty awesome. There's new cool stuff coming down the pike from them too that I'll be showing off very soon. All right, go ahead and get the afterburner connected while we're here. Let the plane initialize. We have a remote receiver up front for additional receiver telemetry and reception quality. We also have the GPS in there. All right, now that it's initialized, make sure we got throttle cut enabled, and we do. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and flip the antenna back, flip it upside down. Let's double check the center of gravity. I used to fly this thing at 130 millimeters, and I remember that being in a very particular spot. We are slightly nose down. Right, let's get it balanced right there. So right here in the wing, which is about where it needs to be stable. I could probably go back to the middle of this. Anything further than that gets a little bit sketch, as I recall, especially if you're flying with Flaperons like we are. So let's get her lined up for the takeoff roll. I just had a bug fly in my ear. Yeesh. But before we take off, let's double check all the directions. So we're gonna enable the Tailerons.
Taileron.
Left, right, up, down, right, left. I also replaced all of the FMS linkages that e-flite uses with free wing linkages, so there's metal ball links and the free wing buckles holding them in place. How's that look to you, Tony? Looking good?
Looks good.
All right, let's throw it upside down and safe.
Heading safe.
Make sure that everything's correcting the proper way. So we roll the plane to the right aileron and the right Taileron both go down to push that wing back up. Vice versa, you roll the plane to the left, the right aileron goes up, and the right Stabilator goes up as well to push it down. As we go up, we get a down response. As we go down, we get an up response. We should be good to go. Let's just flip it upside down and see it at work. Beautiful. You also have the Flaperon configuration. Again, those of you guys who ask me, why don't you fly models stock? It's not what we do on this channel, guys. You have 40 other channels minimum to watch this kind of stuff stock. Come here and see what these things can really do. I'm gonna go ahead and change my rates though real quick on on my landing gear. When my gear are out, I have lower rates. I'm gonna go ahead and change that to being 100% instead of what it was currently set to. There we go, a little bit more authority, just for stability's sake.
Flaps 50.
Flaps coming in.
Flap elevator 0.
All right, cool. We got the on-the-fly trimmer. Let's check the afterburner, make sure it's working. Oh yeah, we are good to go. First time I've ever flown this jet with an afterburner. Let's do it, guys. Here we go. Actually, before we do that, with taxi test, it's going to the right. We're gonna have to cut real quick and fix that. So we'll be right back. All right. Oh yeah, look at that thing. It's ready to go. Oh, I need to turn on the screen recorder real quick too so we can actually see the GPS. So one moment, apologize for the wait. E-flite 80mm F-16, flying for Hangar 18 Hobbies in beautiful Cary, North Carolina. Let's do it, guys.
Flaps up. Gear up.
Oh yeah, man, I missed this jet. Look at that thing go. It's perfectly balanced.
20 seconds. Stabilator 12 up.
There we go.
Stabilator 16 up.
We're not gonna spend too much time flying. We're gonna get her dialed in and trimmed.
Seconds.
So feeling good on this thing. Let's get the roll rate in there. Wow, that's ridiculous. I may have to tamp that down just a little bit. Slide. Oh my God, that was probably the best tail slide this jet's ever done. Let's get her up and see if we can get her to do the flat spin real quick.
23.9 volts.
Okay, I didn't even turn on the GPS. There it is. Now you guys can see the GPS screen. Now you know how fast it's going.
1 minute.
Max speed so far has been
337.9 feet, 77.1 miles per hour.
Let's go full speed real quick.
87 miles per hour.
Not expecting much of a speed demon here. Oh wow, that's agile.
23.4 volts.
Plenty of power. Let's go ahead and get her trimmed for some touch and goes. Make sure that we can bring her down safely. It's better to do this while you have power.
Down.
Gear coming out. Reception.
22.7 volts.
Okay, we'll hear the reception in a second.
23.3 volts.
There we go. I need to check that switch real quick.
Full flaps.
Flaps are feeling great. Look at that. It's barely going nose down.
Flaps up.
I disabled the aileron movement with the flaps out. I'm probably going to re-enable it because it feels a little weird. The ailerons are currently blocking a little bit of the airflow to the stab, so you have to really kind of push
22 volts.
We're just probably going to make this a quick maiden flight with a couple of touch and goes to make sure we can get this in right. That was dumb on my part. Let's circle around. I'll let her get out of my field of view. There we go. I'm just so excited. I'm not thinking quite straight. We're okay, lining back up now. All right, there we go. There we go.
22.9 volts. Full flaps.
Full flaps coming in. Beautiful approach right now. Look at that. Look at how rock solid that is. Holding the high alpha.
Thrust reversed. Engine normal.
Okay, thrust reverse is acting up a little bit. We'll just pull the air brakes out by holding the stabs. The thrust reverse did not want to cooperate. Maybe I did it the wrong way. I don't know. My heart's pounding though, but I got a successful maiden flight out of that thing. Dude, that is the best this jet has ever flown, and I remember flying it. I also remember it being kind of a pain in the butt. I also remember when Tony accidentally flew it into a piece of rebar because it was just kind of unstable flying. It wasn't his fault. I would have flown into it too if I had drifted off the runway a little bit because neither one of us saw it. I didn't even know it was there. That's the worst part about it. It's like when you hit an obstacle and you don't even see it. Thankfully, this airport doesn't have too many obstacles. There are a couple of pieces of rebar out there, but if I hit those things, I got bigger problems to worry about.
Volts.
Look at this thing come in. Beautiful. So that's what a maiden flight for me is really all about most of the time, testing out some of the aerobatic potential and then just getting it dialed in. And now that we got it pretty much flying the way I want, we're gonna make some quick adjustments. Max speed looks like it was 92.
92 miles per hour.
Which isn't bad. We're gonna turn off the screen recorder real quick. I'm gonna tell you guys, we're gonna go through our initial review now that we've gotten the plane. Should have done this before we took off. I even remember saying I'd do it, and I totally forgot. Let's actually grab the transmitter so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So the missile quality on this thing, I went through this in the, did you cut? Okay. The missile quality in the build is at free wing level or better. These missiles, these AMRAAMs 120s on the side, perfect. They look amazing. They use water slide decals, which makes them look a lot better. Older FMS stuff used to use solid stickers, so you'd see a very obvious patch of sticker. It looked pretty dumb. These are hinged properly. There is a carbon fiber rod running through the ailerons, and there's four plastic hinges holding it in place. Couldn't ask for a better hinge system on that. That's about as good as it gets on a foam aircraft. Next up are the stabilators. These are full flying stabilators. The difference between an elevator and a stabilator, for those of you guys who wonder why I keep saying the word stabilator, a full flying stabilator is this. It is the combination of a stabilizer and an elevator mixed into one, stabilator. If you notice with aviation parlance, there's a lot of mixing of two different words. I think that's what a portmanteau is what that's called, something like that. Normally with an elevator, you have a fixed stabilizer, like the 70mm F-16, where this piece right here is part of the fuselage, and then this piece in the back moves up and down. The full-scale F-16 moves completely up and down. Most fighter jets move like that. That's why they're called stabilators. That's why they perform like fighter jets, because they can actively change the pitch moment and get the most authority out of the pitch that they possibly can. Like, you can't get that with fixed elevator tips. The hinge quality, again, outstanding. The only issue I have is foam hinges on the rudder, and I suspect that's due to the size of the rudder. There probably wasn't enough space to fit a proper hinge system in there. So I'll forgive him for that. If it ever starts coming loose, you guys know me, I'll just rehinge it myself. Build quality aside, I do remember losing these E-clips occasionally. I've actually had the right main pop off before on takeoff on one of my very, very old videos nobody watched back when we were kind of just doing our own thing. If that happens, I will hit it with a dab of CA. I may even just do that tonight and just hit it with that just to make sure that this doesn't go anywhere ever again. Likewise, just try to just hold your high alpha approach on this thing. That's the best way to land it in terms of keeping your gear working as good as they are, or as they should be. Look at the lights on this thing too. This is just phenomenal. Outstanding build quality. Initial impressions so far, because I haven't flown it in a long time, this is a solid 9 out of 10 jet for me. Absolutely. Probably the best free-wing FMS / e-flite jet, aside from that bugger over there, which is the king of jets for me right now, or queen, whatever gender you prefer your model airplane to be. This is a close-up runner-up for me. Before we sign out today, we're going to try some inverted alpha. We're going to try regular high alpha. We're going to do all sorts of other cool stuff with it, and we're going to see what this thing can really do before we finish up the initial review on it. Coming back here in a few. All right, guys, we are back for round 2 with the e-flite 80mm F-16. Again, I'm flying this on behalf of Hangar 18 Hobbies here in beautiful Cary, North Carolina. And because you guys are so awesome and we've been having great premiere live streams, and I've been chatting with you guys, and the live streams have been hitting 50 viewers on average, even for the premieres too, which is amazing. I didn't think we'd get this big. If you guys want to keep chatting with me like that, come to Discord. Discord links right down there. Like, look down below. It's buried in there with all the other links for the stuff you can get. Hop in, it's free. The people there are amazing. You know, it's got a younger audience there, but I think having some older folk like us in there will probably help out a lot. And honestly, we all need to share the knowledge, and what better way to do it than by chatting in real time with other people. So hop on in.
Flaps 50.
We're gonna drop the flaps. I just fixed the landing flaps. So now the Flaperons actually move as I command roll, which should help out a lot. It was feeling a little sluggish before, but now it shouldn't. I think the stabilators were getting blanked out in roll. There's a phenomenon called deep stall, which you should familiarize yourself with. Probably wasn't happening here, but it was making turbulent airflow over those stabilators. So we're gonna go ahead and just get up.
Throttle open.
Also with the 5280 RC afterburner in the butt. Oh yeah, look at that thing go. Here we go.
Flaps up. Gear up.
Beautiful takeoff, man. We're gonna speed test this one. Let's see what the roll rate's like without Tailerons versus with first though.
20 Taileron.
It's slow. Let's bring her back around. Oh, and I forgot to tell you what battery pack this is. This is an SMC 4040C, or sorry, 60C. Okay, roll rate with Tailerons, here we go.
Taileron.
Little excessive. but it's for maneuvering purposes, so I don't use the full extent of the stick most of the time. So before somebody comes in to yell at me about how excessive my throws are, keep that in mind. Let's put her in safe real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the GPS on so you guys can see it with this, actually, yeah, with the screen recorder. So we're just gonna go into safe real quick. You guys can see how safe performs. Recording the screen.
1 minute.
Right now. Okay, now we got the screen on. Putting her back in safe real quick. I should have done this before I took off. That was stupid of me. This is one of the things that I put safe on my planes for. Okay, so we're not getting the actual speed call out on the screen. That's okay. I'm surprised it's not showing up. Maybe it will. We'll just have the speed call outs turned on.
23 volts. 22.6 volts.
There we go. Now we should get some speed call outs coming. Okay, maybe I didn't set it up right. That's fine. Level speed pass.
100.7 miles per hour.
100 miles an hour. Let's do a dive, coming back over. Turn around, roll over. Pull the stabs over the wheel, backflip over itself. Full power.
$117.4 miles per hour.
117.
22.5 volts.
That ain't bad. It's a heavy plane, guys.
2 minutes.
So for it to go as fast as it's going right now is pretty impressive. Let's get the inverted performance, see how it's doing with center of gravity. A little bit, it's definitely on the nose heavy side, but I'm expecting that with this jet because if it gets too far back, it gets kind of squirrely. So I had to add a significant amount of nose pressure, but that's a lot of Expo I'm using too.
$22.7 volts.
Amazing. Let's get another low pass, maybe right down this taxiway. Tony's taking a step back. Wise move by my wise man. A little bit of right rudder to keep her stabilized in that turn. Golly, this thing is amazing. And it's almost completely trimmed too. I only need a couple clicks of trim to keep it going straight.
21.1 volts.
Before we go too far, let's see if we can get it a flat spin.
3 minutes.
And then we'll do some inverted Harrier testing and some other stuff with it too. Actually, let's do the Cobra test. Oh my God! Did you see it slide through the air? We're doing that again. We are doing that again. It held inertia. That's incredible. I'm sorry if I'm geeking out about this, but Cobra maneuvers are my favorite thing to do with a jet. Wow.
22.2 volts.
You know, we have enough power to maybe try the inverted alpha one time. Let's actually see how it high alphas and stalls too while we're reviewing it. I don't want to get too caught up in flying and not actually talk about what it's doing. So holding the stick full back with some power. Okay, it starts to depart, actually just falls. Look at that go. That's an amazing stall. The stab throws are so far that it just falls. I probably could have put it into a flat spin, but we're gonna be nice to this SMC pack. We're gonna go ahead and just line up for an approach.
21.9 volts.
Okay, getting the flaps out as we level the wings.
Full flaps.
Don't worry, landing tutorial's coming on this thing too. This is a jet you wanna land with high alpha, so you wanna, as you get close to the ground, begin flaring, hold the nose up.
4 minutes. Thrust reversed.
Okay, we'll take that.
Flaps up.
I like how we have a thrust reversed afterburner. So like the afterburner kicks in all the way as thrust reverse comes in. I could turn that off if I made a mix switch because I'm using, for the first time, I'm actually mixing the 8th channel in, dedicated only to the afterburner for Larry's unit. Again, 5280rc.com, get one. They are the best out there as far as I'm concerned. And get that, go ahead and like, just plug it in, and I use a mix on a curve to determine when it activates so I can manually customize it. God, I am in love with this jet. I couldn't believe that first Cobra when it did this and it kept going.
volts.
If I had just throttled up at the beginning, it would have been textbook. It would have been textbook. It would have been something you saw on an Su-37, 27, MiG-29, F-22, any of them that can do it. It would have been perfect. That is a beast. And that is gonna, I don't care how expensive it is, I'm gonna keep it in my hangar. I can't wait to maybe get the 90mm F-16 from Freewing and test that out too. Oh man, I'm happy with that. Cutting here. All right guys, we're back. Now we're gonna do some touch and goes, show you guys what this jet's really made of. Landing tutorials coming in the future where I'll talk about everything into it and all that other stuff. But for now, actually, before we go, let me just double check the center of gravity. Do that on camera. I need to write down where these things need to go so I don't have to guess anymore. Probably be a smart idea. Nose down. As long as we're nosing down right there at the middle of that little... got a nose down and like at the circle on the wing. It's right here. That's where we want the CG to be for Flaperons. Otherwise it gets super unstable when we fly. Sorry if my train of thought got lost there for a second.
Throttle open.
All right, here we go. Going into a headwind, flaps up or down. 5280 RC afterburner, kicking it.
Flaps up, gear up.
God damn, that thing takes off like a real F-16. It just lifts so gently.
Seconds.
Pardon the swearing, but I'm just so excited flying it.
Stabilator 18 up.
I'm just gonna do some laps with it.
Zip 23.7. Zip no data. 23.7
GPS doesn't want to work today.
Gear down.
I'll have to do speed testing maybe some other time or investigate it real quick.
Full flaps.
Full flaps coming in. Rock solid jet. Look at her go. Getting into that nose high attitude here momentarily. A little rough on the landing there.
Gear up.
Solid 5 out of 10. Could be better.
22.7 volts.
Could swear I heard the GPWS going off there for a second. Like terrain with those trees in front. I don't know if Tony caught that, but I came pretty close to those trees.
Gear down.
Kick the nose over with some rudder.
Full flaps.
Full flaps coming in, scratching my beard. There we go, looking good. So I can get a better approach this time. This thing is a dream to land with Flaperons.
23.9 volts. Flaps up, gear up.
Gear coming up. This is a 4000 SMC pack, 60C. Just beautiful in every way. I'm gonna go to the right and then we're gonna turn around.
Gear down.
Gear coming out. This and the Viper Jet right now are my two favorite EDFs, and I've only flown this a little bit. I haven't flown it at all this year up until now.
Volts.
I had it for a bit late last year back when this channel was really in its infancy when we were still figuring out what we were gonna do with it. And man, this is easily one of my best flying EDFs.
2 flaps up.
Got a little unstable there. Can always go around. Plenty of power. Under load we are.
21.8 volts.
Plenty of power. That's like 60% throttle, nothing to worry about there. All right, let's treat this like a traffic pattern. We are in an airport after all.
Gear
Drop
down.
the gear before we enter the pattern. Turn to the right, use the rudder to nose around. There we go. A little bit of a wind behind
Full
us, but
flaps.
it's so gentle and it feels amazing, man. This is like the last bit of fall-like weather we're gonna have for a couple of months. It's like 78 outside right now with a nice wind and no humidity.
23 volts. Flaps, gear up.
We're really putting that gear through a stress test. They're not bad gear at all if you can, keep your landings the way I've been landing them, where they're pretty gentle.
22.2 volts.
Still plenty of power. Let's check the signal.
1 losses, 0 holds, 100%. 22.
Can't complain about that. That's why I put that extra receiver into it, the remote receiver up front, so we'd always have a perfect
Gear
connection.
down.
Gear coming out.
Full flaps.
Flaperons coming in. Got about 2 more at most. We might make this next one our last one. There we go, looking good. A little bit of wind blowing her off course.
Flaps, gear up.
God, it just has such a beautiful presence to it in the
21.4
sky.
volts. Flight pack 21.2 volts.
Okay, next one is gonna be the last one. We're pushing this battery a little harder than we need to. So far, my AS3X settings that I'm using with my flight control computer mixing, perfect. Not a single hint of wing rock. The plane is super stable.
Gear down.
Flies amazing. I'm loving it. All right, bringing in the flaps.
Full flaps.
As I get more confident with this plane, I'll probably start holding a high alpha approach from a long distance away, but for now,
22.6
I'm kind of happy with this. Getting a little bit of turbulence out there, not too bad. Center line, center line, center
4
line.
minutes. Thrust reversed. Engine normal.
Doesn't seem like it's actually thrust reversing at all. It just keeps going. All right, well, sayonara. Nice knowing you. No one's ever grinning at me. Turn her around.
22.7
She's got a pretty good turn radius on this pavement. We'll check the wheel clip and everything, make sure we're all good to go there. I think we'll be fine though. We're flying off pavement, which is really nice. It's not the best quality pavement, but it's better than flying off of pure grass. This is like a grass pavement hybrid. Tony zooming in there, showing you just how bad this pavement is. I'll have to get a weed whacker one of these days and come out and clean it up myself.
Flaps up.
Just outstanding model. Solid 9 out of 10 so far in our initial review. We'll give it the final JonScore coming up here in a little bit. I love that you guys called it that. You're gonna give me a giant head here, but this thing really is, to me right now, a solid 9 out of 10. The only thing that could make it better would be gear that are more better secured with like a collet or something where they aren't gonna come out as easily. All right, guys, we're calling it quits here. We're gonna come right back. All right, guys, we're back. Loving this jet. Solid 9 out of 10 so far. Easily one of my favorite models to fly. I loved it when I had it last year.
25.2 volts.
I love it even more now. We're gonna turn her down. Love it even more now that I know what I'm doing with setup. Before I had an idea. Now I got it really dialed in. Look at those throws. Yeah, we already got a solid Cobra maneuver. Some of the best looking Cobras I've ever gotten in a jet. The F-14 was one of the better ones too, but that thing's so heavy and it's kind of a big pain in the butt to fly. But this thing, man, I don't even have to fly with a ton of weight. My old F-16, I still have the, okay, that's an RV. RV-7 looks like. Yeah. Cute little thing. Sorry, we always check for airport traffic here. It's kind of a requirement. If we're gonna fly at an uncontrolled airport, we have to be cognizant of who's up there. We're gonna just actually, I'm gonna check my phone for flight radar real quick while Tony's talking, while I talk about this. So I used to have a bunch of weight in the tail, and now I don't have to have any weight in the tail to get it to balance. I just want to make sure the guy's not coming to land here. I really don't want to interfere with what he's doing. But he's not even showing up on airport, on flight radar. He doesn't even have ABS-B turned on, so he's not coming here. Nothing to worry about. All right, we're gonna take off. Go ahead and get taxied. We're gonna get our initial agility testing out of the way, and then we'll come back and do an agility testing and speed testing video in the future when I get a real chance to make her go. She's got a pretty good ground handle, although it doesn't turn as good as I want it to, but that's to be expected. It's a jet without differential brakes. All right. Is that afterburner coming on? All right, here we go. 5280 RC, guys. Oh, yeah. This is an SMC 4500 40C pack. Sounds incredible. Let's get her down nice and close. Let's do a level pass, actually go up and over. Sorry about that, buddy. Got a little close to us. Almost axial rolls with those Tailerons. It's almost absurd. So let's try the high alpha. Oh, we have power. Turn up the voice, now we can hear her. Do it way out in the distance, and then we'll try inverted high alpha. We're in high alpha. Oh, there's the departure. Okay, so she does stall like that. I did get it high alpha for a bit.
6 minutes.
You're not gonna be holding the Tailerons up, or sorry, the Stabilators up too much in this jet. Turn up a little bit more. We just shot the touch and goes. That's why she said 6 minutes.
22.4 volts.
Inverted high alpha, guys. Tony's giggling over there. Look at it go. It's so stable. It's ridiculously stable. Oh no. You know what we about to do.
23.1 volts.
We ain't done yet. We're gonna line up for this. We're not gonna wreck it. I'm not gonna get too close to the ground today. I promise. This is for Hangar 18 Hobbies. I ain't gonna break this yet. Okay, I got into that wrong. Let's do that again. I'm just super excited. This thing's doing what I thought it would do and more.
7 minutes.
Okay.
22.3 volts.
I'm not entering it the right way. I'll do it one more time. If we can't get it, we're not going to stay too close to the ground. I am not destroying this jet today. Maybe some other day, but not today. Okay, we're gonna get out of it. It does do inverted high alpha, but it has to be entered into the precise way. And I got it lucky on the first time. Look at that thing go. So stable in the air. It's got such a presence to it. Let's see if I can make her flat spin on the maiden today. Get up nice and high.
Flight pack 21.2 volts.
Pull the stabs back. No, she doesn't want to. I gave it full stab input and she didn't want to do it. Let's do it one more time. Maybe Rudder will do it.
Flight pack 21.3 volts.
And then we'll bring her in. I have no ESC cutoff, so we can ignore that if I want to.
22.4 volts.
There it goes. Being gentle. So we got some agility testing. Let's go do a quick power loop and then call it quits.
Flight pack 21 volts.
Oh yeah, she slides around. That's what them giant stabs will do.
Gear down.
Dropping the gear. Tony's got a nice zoom in on those gear deploying. Coming in for the landing. We're gonna make this a one and done because we must for great justice.
22.3 volts.
Okay, I'm starting to stall the wings. There we go. Got her down, nose down. Flaperons coming in. That was super sloppy looking, but the jet's gonna come home safe. It did what I set out to do, which was prove that inverted high alpha is possible. And not only possible, it looks freaking cool. Hold the stabs back so we can use them as air brakes. I need to diagnose reverse thrust. It looks like it's getting overridden and turned back on.
22.7 volts.
Bro, this is the jet that I wish I've been wanting this thing for a long time. Hangar 18,
Flaps up.
Brian finally got me this jet on demo so I could finally get it up and showcase what it's capable of doing now that I know what I'm doing with it. You guys, this is only a taste of what we're gonna do with this model. We are gonna get really good flat spins in. We see that rudders need it. We're gonna get high alpha in.
9 minutes.
We're gonna get inverted high alpha in.
volts.
We are gonna do more Cobra maneuvers. We're gonna do inverted Cobra maneuvers. We're gonna make those wings come off of this plane or die trying. So now for the proper post review, because this is the last we're gonna fly it today, unless Tony wants to take it on a spin. Solid 9 out of 10 on our initial score, the JonScore. I mean, look at it. What more do I have to say? It is beautiful. This is easily, this and the Cirrus are the best looking e-flite models that have come out in recent memory. The Cirrus is a beautiful representation of a Cirrus SR22T. This is just a perfect representation of an F-16C. Look at all the scale details, even the little, what are these things called, Tony? You know.
The AOA sensors.
Okay, so the angle of attack sensors, they're actually molded in plastic. The pitot tube in the front is molded in plastic. The, what are those, turkey slicers on the front? What are those called, I think? Burst slicers. Those, they're probably like little radar indents or something. Okay, so identify friend or foe antennas in the front. Little molded details. The gun looks incredible. I mean, a lot of this stuff on here is plastic. Do you know what this thing is on top of your head? It's a little exhaust or something?
I think that's exhaust for the gun.
That would be it. That makes sense. And there's another exhaust on the side. I even went through and I even, when I added the indents on here, I used my fingernail and indented the decals so they actually have some depth to them rather than just being overlaid to give them even more scale fidelity, because you're not gonna just have decals slapped over stuff. Tony's got a bug following him. You're not gonna just have scale details slapped over stuff in a real plane. You're gonna have the panels and stuff will show through the decals. So, I mean, this thing is amazing. Look at the Tailerons correcting for AS3X the way I programmed it. Next up after this is gonna be the maximum performance setup so that you too can make your jet do ridiculously cool stuff like this. Thank you guys for watching. Seriously, get one. And make sure you check out Hangar18hobbies.com, Instagram.com/Hangar18hobbies, TikTok.com/@Hangar18hobbies, Facebook.com/Hangar18hobbies. They're all right down below as I'm talking. You guys seriously get it. It's expensive, I know, but if you take good care of it, this will be one of the best looking jets you've ever flown, and it will have so much potential that only you are gonna be able to unlock, because every one of you guys can do this. If I can do it, so can you. Thanks for watching, guys. See you again next time. What's going on, YouTube? John here. You have by this point seen the complete uncut maiden flight of the e-flite 80mm F-16, not X, F-16. Beautiful, absolutely phenomenal bird. This is easily becoming one of my favorite airplanes to fly right now. It is so locked in, so stable, and part of that is the way I programmed it. I got it right mostly last year when I flew it, but it's been like 8 months since I last flew one. So I wasn't sure if I was actually gonna, fly it as well, or if there was gonna be any other unexpected issues that might have cropped up. But ultimately, it ended up being probably one of the best flying experiences I've had in a really long time, and I can't wait to fly it again. So to help you guys perhaps consider getting the most out of your F-16, I'm gonna go ahead and do the setup vid for this, but as is tradition lately, because I have so many things on my plate now, and as this channel keeps growing, I need to speed run this. So we're gonna make this as fast as I can get it. So before we get any further along here, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you guys the internals of the jet. You can see that I'm using the 5280RC afterburner unit. That was a really easy install, just slips over the back of the motor. I'm using the SPMA 95870 GPS system to track the speed. I'm probably going to take that out soon because I don't think it's really going to be much of a speed monster, but that's not why I got it. Got a remote receiver, which is, I can't even remember what the heck this one's called. The STAS111H. I'm sure that's not the correct name, but it fits in there. Goes right in the back there. It gives it a clear path to the RF antennas. That we don't have to worry about losing any battery signal, or not battery signal, radio signal. So this thing was flawless the way I've got it set up right now. I've got for the antenna setup, it's very similar to the stock setup with the AR637TA. I've got one going vertical right here along the side of the cockpit, and I've got one going laterally, and then I've got one in the back here for the extra reception. That is the big setup info. To show you the AGFRC servos that I used in the Stabilators, what I'm going to go ahead and do is actually power up the plane. We're going to hit screen record here. I'm going to talk to this so I can hear my voice and overlay the info on it. That way the on-screen display will pop up here as soon as I go ahead and add it in and post. You guys wouldn't believe the amount of work I put into these videos for you, but if you guys weren't worth it, I totally would not do it. But you guys are. You gotta believe me when I say I really do enjoy looking forward to all the comments you guys leave. And I love being able to help people out. It's nice to feel useful. Not that I don't with the work that I do, but I just like helping demystify flight and radio controlled flight in particular, and making it so you guys can understand how you can get the most out of your own models. Whoa, that's right. I actually did not screw those in place, so good thing I held on to the back of the jet. Woohoo, that could have gone bad very easily. Let's go ahead and get this little ventral fin put back on. There we go. Okay, so let's slide the jet over here. Make sure it's not going to fall over itself. I'm actually gonna put my backpack on it to add a little bit of weight to it so it won't go anywhere. There we go. Let's see. I know I need to go ahead and just grab a screwdriver, which are all in the back here of my. I need to really get better at doing this before I start shooting. Sorry about this, guys. The sooner I get this done, the sooner I can go ahead and cut together the entire maiden footage for you guys. There we go. P1 screwdriver. So I'm only going to take one out to show you guys what it looks like. Actually, to do this too, I need to grab a, what do you call it? Tweezer. There it is right there. These tweezers right here I got from Hangar 18 Hobbies. They're curved. They make it relatively simple to pop off these ball links, the free wing ball links that I used. I went over this on the live stream if you want to see how and why I use these. I guess I can go over the how. These are just much easier to hold on. They don't come loose, and you can pop things off without breaking the plastic. It's really nice. And they're stronger in general, and they allow for a much more robust servo to control surface connection. And they're like, it's like $5 for a pack of them and $5 for the buckle. It's one of the cheapest parts you can get to upgrade your jet to make it completely robust and reliable. So here's the B13 DLM servos. You guys can see that I'm not joshing you. AGFRC B13 DLMs. You can hear them too. Ton of power, ton of torque, ton of precision. I will never fly jets like this with stock servos, unless it's like the F5 over there, because I took these out of the F5. I didn't want to spend 40 bucks for a servo upgrade on this plane when I already had the servos laying around. The F5 just didn't need it. It's not going to be as agile of a plane as this one is. And it doesn't perform maneuvers anywhere near as well as this one does. So I opted to transplant the original servos for the F5 back into it and put the F5's upgrade servos in here. So that's just my personal preference. If I end up getting more servos and find that the F5 doesn't fly as well as I want it to, I'll just upgrade them again with the same type. But for now, I put them in the F-16. And another reason why I like these, watch this. Easy snap, right back on. So there's the servos, super easy. If you want to see the afterburner, I'm gonna go ahead and put throttle cut on. Actually, to even show you, I would have to turn the plane over, so let's be very careful about these wings. Make sure we don't hold the plane by the wings. There we go. All right, and then slide that right in there. Go ahead and pop this off. And we'll just connect the afterburner because I need to have it connected to show you guys the mixing I did to make it work anyway. And this would work for any afterburner unit, including the KMRC afterburner units, who I also am sponsored by and will be featuring more of in the near future. All right, turning the plane back over again. Actually, I don't even need to turn it over. It's fine, we can leave it current direction where it's sitting. Let's go ahead and pull the plane back a little bit, get it away from the F5's pitot tube, and then you guys can see the afterburner unit working. There it goes. So you can see Larry's unit in there blinking bright. Ooh, that's blinding. I've got it on a separate channel so that I could run it without having to worry about throttling the Y connector and not losing the ESC telemetry too. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to do the full deflection on the Tailerons, but you can see that they do move. So let's go ahead and go through the servo setup real quick so you guys can see what rates and everything I'm using. Make this super quick, as fast as I can get it done. All right, so ailerons, flaperons in this case actually are 150%, 150%. The stabilators are 120 up and 120 down on both. Rudder is 150 to 150. And that's pretty much all of that. Pretty simple stuff. I need to show you guys the wing type, just in case the plane decides to launch itself into the air. I'm gonna go to model setup and hold on to the tail while I double check and make sure that it's all doing what it's supposed to here. So aircraft type, this is a dual elevator, one rudder type, but I did trick this into treating the plane as a flaperon type. So if you saw me doing the pre-flight check in the maiden, you will see that when I go to lift the plane up and rotate it, that the stabilators, see how they correct? So the leading edge, or so the trailing edge of the left stabilator goes down as the aileron goes down, corresponding. Same on the other side, goes up and down. The AS3X gyro system is correcting for the stabilators as well in roll and in pitch. So we're getting a much more stable airframe with roll stability that you can only get from having these massive stabilators affecting the plane on the gyro. So to do that, I'm not going to go through it real quick. I'll just give you a brief overview. To do that, you go into aircraft type, you go to Flaperon A is what I had, or sorry, not Flaperon, Taileron A is what I had to choose for this one to make that work. Taileron A, and then Flaperon wing type to get the flaperons to work. Once I had that set, I went ahead and programmed the receiver, but I had to first go into channel assign, and because it always programs left elevator to be channel 9, I had to swap channel 9's left elevator from channel 7 from aux 2 to left elevator, and then channel 9 from left elevator to aux 2 to make this work. Super simple. Once you've got the receiver programmed and you set it up for the first time, it understands that this is a Taileron wing type. You then go back to the aircraft type, and then you set it so that it's dual elevator, one rudder, and then you still get the Taileron configuration, as you can see here, or you can turn it off if you want. And you still get the AS3X stability on the roll axis for the differential stabilators in the back, so that they will correct in roll and allow it to be much more effective in lower air speeds, such as when you're coming into land and maybe the plane's going to stall. The stabilators can help correct for that and keep the plane flying just a little bit longer and keep it stable so that you don't wreck the model. Pretty close to full-scale functionality on that. All right, so let's go into rates. Dual rates in Expo. I'm using 85% Expo on my ailerons. I'm using 85% Expo on my elevator, and I'm using 70% Expo on my rudder. Okay, that works really well. But I will caution you again, just because I'm using humongous rates, I kind of need that. If I can't show you my Tailerons only because my ailerons are going to catch on the FMS stand there. But look how much further my stabilators move than almost anybody else's on YouTube. Look at this. This is up and down, up, down, up, down. Insane amount of travel. But that gives me a jet with unparalleled agility. There's probably no other YouTuber or pretty much anybody I've ever seen that flies their F-16 like this, or pretty much makes any of their jets have full stabilator throw like that. I just believe in full possible throws. If anybody else does it, man, I love you, you're awesome, but I haven't seen many other people do it. Those are my Expo, those are my dual rates. Mixing is really simple. I've got, well, not exactly super simple. I'm using the FCS mixing that I use for everything else. Simple explanation is it's throttle to gain. Real quick, go ahead and throttle up a little bit. Get it kicked in. So when the flaps are up, I have my pitch looks like this at no throttle. So when I'm just gliding with no thrust, see how my stabilators move a little bit up and down? Pretty good. And then as the throttle is advanced, we have throttle cut on. As the throttle is advanced to full, there is very little stabilator movement, but just enough to keep it nice and stable while it's flying. It's pretty good. Same goes for roll, but we'll get to roll in a second. Flat position 1 and position 2. You can see on the screen that I just have a little bit more, stability when I'm in landing thrust. I land with about, quarter throttle most of the time with my thrust on the back end of the power curve here. So I want extra stability when I'm landing. So that's why that curve is there. This is controlling the AS3X gains. See how much more effective the stabilizer is? This is the same thing for roll too. See how as I drop the wing, the stabilators go to fix that. Can't complain. Now, let's go ahead and see if I can drop the gear. We're gonna need the plane on the ground to demonstrate the rate differences here. Beautiful scale gear, man. They need a little bit of cleaning after flying through some of the dirt today, but they're still really good. Now this is a little bit more difficult to turn around. I've got too much stuff in here and it's kind of hard to turn. There we go. Flipper without dropping or damaging. There we go. Okay, now we got the plane with the gear down and the flaps still out. With flaps out, I am using, with gear out, I use less, rates. That's what I call gear-based rates. So I've got what looks like a lot of rates, but look at this when I go to pull the gear up real quick. So I got a little bit more rates, and when the gear up, a little bit less when they're down. I ended up deciding that I needed that extra amount of authority just in case. So with the gear up, we were at 67% rates across the board, and with the gear down, we were at, or gear up, let me rephrase, gear down 67% rates, gear up 100% rates. That translates into 100% on the ailerons, or at least it should. So go to the monitor, and you get, oh, that's interesting. One of them is moving more than the other. Why is that? Let's find out. Maybe I missed one. I could have sworn I set them up the exact same way. If they were any different, I didn't notice it in the air, that's for sure. So go to travel, go to left aileron, because it's not moving as much as the other. Left aileron's moving 150, right aileron's moving 150. That's weird. No, they seem like they're fine. Maybe it's just some weird quirk in the programming, I don't know. Maybe they only move up, I don't know. I'm not sure why that's happening. I'll have to look into it later. Anyway, stabilators move up and down 72 and 89. Not quite 100, but still pretty close to it. Ailerons are moving 100% up almost. and 100% down, almost. It could, oh, you know, I know what it is. They're out of trim. I added some trim to them. That's what it is. I'm not that dumb. Anyway, back to the point. So yeah, that's my gear-based rates. So I've got a bit of Expo when I'm flying like that, and it makes the plane much more stable to fly, and it keeps it from being over-controlled. So when my gear out, I have low rates. When I have my gear up, I have crazy high rates with a lot of Expo. Flies really well like that. Let's go ahead and go into the mixing again real quick. Back to the mixing one more time. So you guys saw the pitch roll, sorry, the pitch stabilization. Here's the roll one. Very low on the roll, negative 45%, negative 53%, negative 70%. With the flaps out, it's negative 45%, negative 23%, negative 53, and negative 70. And with them fully out, we are at, what is it? Negative 45, 34, 50, negative 53, and negative 70. That gives you, again, this is what the plane does. If it gets into crazy turbulence, it will try to counteract it as best as it can. Trust me, I don't want to fly without this. I love it. I mean, you can do it, but the real F-16 can't fly without stabilization. So honestly, there's really nothing wrong with having a little bit of stabilization on your model as well. Okay, so that we've got that, the two major mixes down. We'll just go through the one real quick just to show you the numerical values. That was a value of 0 to negative 6. So negative 6 is a halfway through. Negative 30. Flaps at landing thrust, it's still 0, then 41%, negative 6, negative 30, and then 68%, negative 6, and 30. Pretty simple. That's just how I like to fly. You guys choose how you want to fly, but this is my setup, and I'm just kind of going over it real quick. Let's see here. If there's any weird roll issues, I do have a left trim to left elevator that allows me to trim out the Tailerons so I can make them roll. But I know that the roll was actually coming from the ailerons because they weren't totally synced up correctly. So I didn't have to use that trim, but I can trim that out, which is pretty cool. I haven't had a need to use it yet. They're always aligned perfectly. All right, let's see. Oh, that's done, but by the way, by mixing left trimmer to left elevator at a rate of 50 to 50, and the switch is on, so it's always on. Make sure that the screen's still recording. Okay, it's still recording. Cool. I just didn't see the thing showing me. Let's see here. Elevator to left aileron, switch B. This is the high G flap maneuvering system. I didn't test it, but I will have to. As you pull the elevator, the flaps dump. In the full scale, the leading edge flaps would also dump, also known as the slats, but in fighter jet parlance, those are known as leading edge flaps. So as you pull the elevator back, that's what happens there. Let's go ahead and open up that mix so you can see it. So it's a pretty simple curved Expo mix. All you got to do is just assign elevator to left aileron, rate of negative 100 to negative 50 to, yeah, negative 100 to negative 50. That's pretty much all there is to it. And actually that's a multi-mix too. So if we go into Spoiler Alpha, you can see that as I pull the elevator back, the ailerons pop up to help create some up force. I haven't tried that, but I'm going to have to. I just keep forgetting to do it. Aerodynamically, that should cause the wing to not be as susceptible to stalling because you're reducing the wing area and reducing its angle of incidence, technically, by adding washout to it. Or not washout, but yeah, it is kind of washout, isn't it? But that's more of a phrase you hear at the wingtip rather than the wing root. But basically, it makes the plane less aggressively bite into the air, so you can hold high alpha a little bit easier. All right, back into the mixing. Rudder to AX2, switch A. I think I've disabled this. Oh, I think I know what this is actually.
Thrust reverse, engine.
That's why my thrust reverse wasn't working right earlier.
Thrust reverse, engine normal.
Okay, so I fixed that. That was rudder to AX2 was controlling the nose wheel, and I forgot to remove that. So that's stupidity on my part. That's probably why thrust reverse wasn't working correctly. C to AX2 is my switch to allow me to assign switch C to auxiliary 2, which is the thrust reverse capability of the AV and ESC. That is switch C in the list here. You have to scroll down to see it to AX2, which is the thrust reverse channel, channel 9, at a rate of negative 100% to negative 100%. You can see it moving in place here as I activate it, and that's always set to on. So when it's up, it's inactive.
Throttle open.
And then when I activate it, works pretty good. At least it should now. All right, next thing here we need to look at is all the way at the bottom of the list. Throttle to AX3 is the Afterburner controller. Check this out. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out of the way of the F5. I'm gonna go ahead and just point this up. See how it's starting to activate? I can adjust this mix. It's an Expo curve mix. I can adjust how it works. So like we're at position 3 right now. I can turn this down so I can make it so it doesn't activate at all, or I can make it be full blast right now, or I can make it be even a little bit more gentle so it kind of comes on right now. And I got to go even higher on the throttle curve to get it. That's what this mix does. It just controls the afterburner intensity. Pretty cool, huh? It allows me to independently trim it. I can always decide what the activation point is. Larry's afterburners from 5280rc.com are usually pre-programmed, but this one allows me to program them to whatever I want them to be. So I can kind of bypass any programming limitations. That's what that does. Going into aileron to left aileron, this is the Taileron mixing. So if I have it on aileron only, it doesn't do anything. And Taileron configuration, activate it, they work. So when you want to roll right, the right aileron goes up and the right Taileron goes up, and vice versa. Roll left, right one goes down, right one goes down. That's achieved by mixing aileron to left elevator at a rate of -100 to a -100. Switch D2 controls that on my transmitter. I pretty much leave it on all the time. I don't have any reason to turn it off. All right, getting into the more exciting and fun part of this stuff. Let's get into forward programming and wrap it up. Okay, forward programming. This is fun. I actually do enjoy this. Gyro settings that I'm using currently. I'm using, what do you call that? Relative gains, so that my 2 sliders in the back, this is my pitch and yaw, and the left side is my roll. So when they're in the center, they're at default values. If you go to capture gyro gains, you'll see what I mean. So I pull this one on the right all the way down, they go to 0. As I push it all the way to the top, they go to full. Same with the left side. Sorry about that, guys. The camera overheated, so I had to swap batteries and cool it down. Back into recording, the screen in 3, 2, 1, and back into forward programming, starting now. Going into forward programming, and I'm going to show you guys again how that all works. My apologies, this time of year is terrible for this GoPro. It just gets hot really quick. Gain sensitivity is 2x. That is what I needed to get this thing to behave the way I wanted it to. Again, we're using relative gains, so adjustable, meaning on all 3 flight modes, AS3X gains on the first flight mode are 50% roll, 70% pitch, 80% yaw. With the little bit more aggressive AS3X setting, we're looking at 60% roll, 85% pitch, 90% yaw, and with safe, 50% roll, 70% pitch, 80% yaw. That pretty much covers all of it. There isn't really much else to this jet. This thing flies absolutely flawlessly and just absolutely beautiful in the sky, set up the way I've got it. I would say this is the definitive version of the F-16 setup. I made one last year. With this one is basically the same thing, but just upgraded a little bit and a bit easier to understand and a lot faster. So it's not going to take as long to get through. Of course, I will have the setup file for you guys to work with. You guys know me. I always try to help you guys out. Just gotta pay it forward, you know. Hair's all messed up again. I just took a shower too, go figure. Hey, really appreciate you guys again. Tony and I we had a productive day filming. It was probably one of our best filming days in a long time. The channel's growing so big, and it's only because of you guys choosing to watch us, and we really appreciate everything that you guys have done to like and comment, subscribe, share. It's just wonderful to know that our brand of radio control is something that people really enjoy watching. So with that being said, I'm John, without the H of course, and we're going to be signing off with the e-flite 80mm F-16, which of course I flew on behalf of Hangar 18 Hobbies here in beautiful Cary, North Carolina. See you guys again out there.